Right, we're back. We've been away for quite some time, about 8 months or 9 months. But with 8th edition, thought maybe we could start making some videos again. Um, we recently went to the Caledonian Revolution up in Stockport, which was the first big tournament of 8th. Had about 100 players, which is pretty cool. And after some testing, reading through the indexes, and practicing with various lists, I've ditched the Eldar because they're shit now, and I've gone with Space Marines, which is what I used to play when I first started playing at tournaments. And so I devised a list based on what I thought were the most efficient units in the Codex, alongside Big Boy Gulliman, of course, who's ridiculously good, um, and basically made a list that I thought would be good against both hordes, knights, would have a good chance of going first, and could still score, and had some screening units as well. So I'll put a picture up of the army, but the list was a Vanguard detachment, which is the elites one, with a Tech Marine, who's really good, really cheap, and heals all the units. 2 units of 5 scouts, then 5 venerable dreadnoughts with double twin autocannons each, 1 Eversor assassin, and then 4 Razorbacks, 3 with twin assault cannons and storm bolters, and 1 with a twin las cannon. And then I had an auxiliary super heavy detachment with Gulliman, who's the warlord, and then a fortification network with the void shield generator, which, if you've seen the new FAQ, has been nerfed now to only a 5 up and a 6-inch bubble. So basically, the list is null and void now. But at the time of the tournament, it was legal, and the 4-up invulnerable just gave a good chance against other armies that did a lot of alpha striking with melters or las cannons or missiles and stuff like that to keep the dreadnoughts alive, really. Yeah, so the dreadnoughts are really efficient. 6 up, feel no pain, hitting on 2s, 3s if they move, twin linked and shred next to Gulliman, 2 damage a pop. Just really efficient shooting every turn. And then the Razorbacks are really good as well. Again, cheap for what they are. 12 shots apiece. I had 1 las cannon, 1 in there, just for that extra anti-tank shot, which was nice actually in the tournament. The scouts are there for screening. They can deploy basically anywhere on the table. You can screen against first turn charges or prevent deep strikers like the Tau Commander army from getting you too hard. And yeah, the Void Shield was really important, especially against the flyer lists and Imperial Guard and all sorts. So my first round was against the only Sisters of Battle player there was, and he had Celestine, a Canoness, uh, 2 or 3 of the girls who give extra acts of faith. Then he had 2 units of heavy bolter sisters, and then he had, I think, 6 or 7 immolators with the flamers, 2 units of melter gun girls, and then 5 units of girls with flamers. Then he had 2 units of seraphim as well. So a pretty good list. Lots of tanks in there, quite tough to crack. It was The mission was the 4 objectives, and then Maelstrom was you score based on how many you're standing on. So I went first, I had first turn. There was some good line of sight blocking piece of terrain on the table, which helped him a lot. So he was able to hide some of his tanks and sisters. But I think I blasted 3 tanks in the first turn, blew them up, killed some sisters, and then I dropped an Eversor Assassin in his back lines to try and deal with some of the characters that were giving him buffs back there. I killed one of them, but then I whiffed in combat when I charged, so the assassin died. And he basically moved up to hide behind the terrain with his free movements, Max of Faith, and then on his turn 2, he moved into my lines and unleashed Melter and Flamers and did what he could. And I think he killed 1 dreadnought. He charged 2 dreadnoughts with Celestine and didn't do as much as he thought he would. He only damaged both, and then they were able to fall back. And he killed 1 Razorback as well. And then the game was basically me just killing everything on my side of the board. Gulliman was just slaughtered Celestine twice in combat. and then the army just advanced turn 3. I wasn't able to table him. I think I left him with 3 models hiding in the corners of the board, but it was a solid 20-0 victory. My second round opponent was Sid, who some of you may know, who decided to bring Grey Knights. He had 4 Razorbacks, 2 with Las, 2 with assault cannons. He had 5 or 6 units of interceptors who are really good. They've got deep strike, they move 12, and they can redeploy once per game. And in each unit, he had all Stormbolters, all Halberds, and the Gatling Silencer. Then he had 3 Dread Knights with Silencers and Psy Cannons and Swords. He had Drago. I think that was it, actually. So he had first turn, so I set up defensively within the Void Shield and bubbled out as much as possible to basically force him to mainly shoot and smite Razorbacks turn 1. Then I luckily seized on him anyway, so proceeded, and he obviously deployed aggressively with his Razorbacks on the board, and I proceeded to kill all 4 Razorbacks and some of the guys inside as well. So then his big first turn drop was not really as devastating as it could have been. He killed a Dreadnought, I think, and damaged. Oh, he killed a Dreadnought and put a Razorback down to 1 wound. And then I shot back with everything, killed all 3 Dread Knights, killed most of the interceptors, left him with about 5 dudes and Drago, and then finished it on turn 3, which was quite brutal. So it would have been a different game if he had first turn, but I still think my list dramatically better than his. Then my round 3 opponent, was a player with an Imperial Guard army. He had 4 Scion command squads dropping down with plasma and 2 of the Tempestors with rods, so pretty brutal. He had a Wyvern, he had a Basilisk, he had a Manticore, he had a Stormlord, or whatever the one's called with the anti-Titan cannon, the strength 16 one. Then he had 50 conscripts, Yarrick, Sergeant Harker, and then I think he had a Psyker as well. So a really good list. Stuff dropping down and artillery. Maybe not completely optimized, but still quite difficult. So I had first turn, so I deployed aggressively. Basically shot all the autocannons and las cannons to kill the Storm Sword or Stormlord turn 1. And killed a few of the conscripts with the assault cannons. He dropped down with his Scions. Oh, we had a unit of Rattlings as well. He dropped down with his Scions and blasted away at the Razorbacks. He managed to kill 1. Then in my turn, I killed all the Scions with assault cannon shooting, dropped the Eversor Assassin in to finish them off, and then killed his Basilisk and most of the conscripts as well. So again, the game was over pretty much from turn 2, and I just proceeded to clean up the board whilst also scoring Maelstroms, leaving him with just a unit of Rattlings left, which I couldn't see. So didn't table him, but again, another 20-0 victory. Then round 4 the next day was against the eventual winner of the tournament, Tony Chu, who had a Shrike to give a bubble of 6-inch rerolls. He had 4 Storm Ravens with all heavy bolters. He had and assault cannons. He had 2 Storm Talons with assault cannons, heavy bolters, and 2 Storm Hawks interceptors as well. And then he had some inquisitorial guys within the Storm Ravens, because at this point the henchmen still had 3 wins, which is a typo in the index. So he had first turn, and unfortunately I couldn't seize. So he basically came at me and shot 400, 500 shots and killed 3 Dreadnoughts turn 1, which was above average. He kills I think 2 or 2.5 on average. So that was tough. I shot back to kill a Storm Raven and damaged a Storm Talon, but it was already an uphill battle. And again, from there, the game was decided almost from turn 2. I was able to charge and kill another Storm Raven when he hovered with Gulliman, and then the rest of the game was him trying to chase Gulliman down, and eventually he killed everything except the Void Shield, which was actually quite good in that game. So he didn't table me. I think I was the only opponent he didn't table, but it was still a 20-0 victory, just by 1 point. If I had got 1 point more, I would have stolen a point from him, actually. And then my final round was against another person people might recognise. I'll put a picture in the video. a really good Tau commander list. It's the best way to play Tau right now. 10 commanders, 4 with triple fusion and what do you call them? Multi-trackers, which give them reroll 1, so they're basically twin-linked. 3 missile suits, 3 missile commanders, 1 missile and drone controller commander, and then a burst cannon commander. Then he had some chaff, some crew, some firesight marksmen, some stealth suits, some fire warriors to basically allow him to deep strike all 10 commanders turn 1. They all had 2 gun drones each as well. So again, I had turn 1, killed most of his chaff, some stealth suits, fire warriors, a firesight marksman, got some points with the assassin, with line breaker or whatever it's called, and killing a character, and then bubble wrapped with the scouts to make sure his fusions would be out of range of most of the dreadnoughts, but I gave him 1 dreadnought. So he drops down, kills that dreadnought, kills a razorback. I fight back, so the reason the commanders is so good, you can't target any of the commanders, you have to shoot the drones first. So I spent a good amount shooting drones with assault cannons, storm bolters, scouts, even gullimen, and then finally cracked all the 20 drones, and then was able to kill 2 commanders, I think. Then in his turn, he had another really good turn, killed 2 dreadnoughts and a razorback. So it was actually quite close at that point. And then in my turn, I made a risky play, so I moved Gulliman forward as much as he could, and then moved everything forward with him, and blasted away 2 commanders, and then I made a 11-inch charge with Gulliman, really luckily, to target 2 commanders, and chopped them up, and that was basically game over, because then he had 2 commanders left and a fire warrior in his back line. So I tabled him for another 20-0 victory, and ended up coming 6th overall, which was quite good. I was 2nd Imperium after the winner of the event. And yeah, it was a good tournament, so I just thought I'd put together this terrible video, because we weren't actually planning on doing any videos this summer, but I might, depending on how much interest this gets. So yeah, thanks for watching.